our first education, literacy, ocean workshop. I'm a scientist, so I'm more used to scientific presentations. So I'm going to try to be clear and make this whole thing interesting. So what's the Homarus Eco Center? I'm going to start talking about lobsters, so it's not as interesting maybe as mammals, but you know that lobster is really an important industry in New Brunswick. We are in New Brunswick, in Shediac. So the Maritime Fishermen Union was created 30 years ago, 40 years ago now, and represents approximately 12% of the fishermen community in Atlantic Canada. So the Maritime Fishermen Union is a union, so it makes the link between the fishermen and the government, basically. The fishermen and the retailers, but mainly the government. So in the 80s, 90s, there has been a decrease in lobster landing in some areas, and they created Homarus. Homarus is a research and development organization representing the fishermen. And the idea was, a fisherman had the idea to do what they were doing in Maine, in the US. They were basically bringing bayoid females in the lab, and they were releasing baby lobsters, skipping the pelagic, the more fragile phase, larval phase, and they were releasing lobsters when they were older enough to survive. So they were just reared in the same conditions as they would have been in the wild without predation, basically. So Homarus was created for that in 2002. It's led by the fishermen. It is funded from the public and private sector. And since then we diversed, so any subject related to lobster sustainability basically is of interest. So I've been hired 8 years ago, and I've been working on any subjects that relate to lobster sustainability. So this is some images of the Maritime Fishermen Union that have been fighting a lot for their rights, for the rights of the fishermen, and also they are helping the government implement their conservation measures. They are opening the dialogue between the government and the fishermen. So, just some images. We work a lot with fishermen, and there has been an increased awareness and interest. It's been like 10 years, 8 years I'm with the Homarus group, and it's amazing to see how the fishermen are involved and interested in their resource. It's been told before in one presentation, like they depend on the sea and they're the first one. I'm amazed to see that they're the first one to want to take care of their resource. So this couple is working a lot with us. There's a few like this. And lobster is really important for the region, and everybody, I guess, knows about lobster here. Just some images that came from a fisherman. This couple too is working with us a lot. They're amazing. So basically this life cycle of the lobster, you in the wild, they spend 1 or 2 months in this larval phase, which maybe less than 1% survive before settling on the bottom. So Homarus projects, we have this enhancement project with the baby lobster release, and we have a hatchery in the north of New Brunswick in Chipagan, and we work on any other subjects related to recruitment processes. So what's happening if the habitat is not suitable? What's happening, for example, the fishermen had concerns with the Confederation Bridge. They thought maybe it's changing the hydrodynamism, so is it changing the bottom? And they thought maybe there's less recruitment to the fishery. So we had a master project related to studying the recruitment processes related to habitat. The ecosystem perturbation, I'm more involved in this sector of the group, so I'm working a lot with University of Prince Edward Island, University of Moncton, University of Quebec in Rimouski. So the impact of pollutants, pesticides, temperature acidification on larval phases and the recruitment at the bottom. We also have a lot of projects in collaboration with DFO, Department of Fisheries and Ocean Canada, helping them and taking over on this stock structure, monitoring, abundance index, and also the connectivity between the regions. So we're part of the Canadian Fisheries Research Network, which is finished this year, and it was a huge network funded with NSERC, and so the connectivity between populations, what's happening between regions. But we also have the other aspect of the projects related to the economic viability of the fishery, of the industry. So, for example, we have a big project now going on trying to develop an alternative bait, for example, because the most expensive cost for fishermen is basically the boat, the fuel, and the bait. So can we use wastes from the factories, fish waste, and put it together and use it as a bait? So this is the kind of other project we're doing. And habitat compensation. We also developed a block with the DFO that is used to compensate when there is a destruction of habitat. So we've been developing a lot of collaboration with the universities, DFO, a lot of private groups, and we work a lot. We are just 4 permanent employees all year long, and yeah, this number triples during the summer, but it's quite interesting, and it's really rewarding to see that all this effort is basically to sustain the resource, and this is a fisherman's hand, and it just means everything for us. So the education of the fishermen was done through all these projects for the past 12 years, but then we thought now it's important to outreach, like all this knowledge, science. It's really interesting, but most of the community are not aware about that. They just think this is a scientific, industrial, maybe political game. So how could we reach the community? So we opened the Eco Center at the wharf 3 years ago. The director of the Eco Center, Diego, is here, so if you have questions, it's for him. So we started small. This has been our philosophy for all our projects. We start small, we put a rock, and then we build. So we had a pilot project first with this shack. It was open just 6 weeks on the wharf, and it was free entrance, and we just wanted to have a feel of, is it interesting? Is the community interested? They all come from fishermen backgrounds. They all think they know schools. It's easy, the sea is just there, so they might have an access to the sea in their curriculum. So yeah, in fact, no, it's not so. They don't know so much. So we had a great success. We had 1,200 people coming in just like that with no publicity advertisement. So 3 years later, we have a nicer shack. It's still small, but it's really nice. And last year we had 7,000 people coming in. So we were pretty encouraged. And I'm discovering the whole, like I've been doing science for 15 years, and it's kind of nice to see a smile on the kid's face that discovers how small it starts, a lobster. They just saw them like 2 pounds or a pound in their plate, so it's difficult to imagine how small it starts. So we educate, we explain all the life cycle, everything to know on lobster and its ecosystem. So we're not just talking about lobster, we're also talking about the ecosystem of the Shediac Bay. We do beach sweeps so they can discover all kinds of organisms, they can bring them back. So we have a lot of schools coming in June, and I won't have time. Okay, so it's mostly pictures, they love it. We have a lot of success, and we are going into schools also in the fall. we're trying to make it last more than 2 months because touristic season and nice weather, it's just 2 months in the region. So we have created the mobile laboratory. It's not coming, yes, so we go in schools. And we are having a program with 3 schools, and we try to fit this program in the curriculum, the science curriculum. And yeah, so it goes on until December. And daycares, mostly schools, but daycares are also really, really interested. They are having fun, and it's really interesting to work. We're also trying to raise awareness in the community by being involved in different like festivals. Here it's a fisherman explaining how a lobster will be trapped, again touch tanks with lobsters, different kind of lobsters, female, male. This is the mayor releasing baby lobster in the sea, the market, and also the people can adopt baby lobster. They don't take them and go home, but they can just symbolically pay for a baby lobster that will be released with the fishermen. So it links the community with the fishermen. And we've been reaching almost 20,000 adoptions just with the community until now for 3 years. Also, other ideas that we're trying to realize. So, creating a link between us, the community, and the shops also, because shops are here, are interesting. So we created a passport where people could follow a story, basically, and go in the shops and have their stamps. For here, for example, the story is about Leonardo lobster, and Leonardo is looking for giant lobsters. So he goes in different shops through town, and it makes a nice family activity for half a day or a day. So there's just 6 shops, and they get his stamp. So our artist created different images. So Leonardo is eating an ice cream in an ice cream shop, and etc., etc. And then he goes back to the sea, always. So the second year, it was really nice because Leonardo was meeting with Esther, Marianne. It was Marianne. So they spent all the stories with Marianne, so it's kind of nice. And this was for 2 years, but it's always difficult to get funding for these kinds of initiatives. So the third year, this year, we're launching a new idea, again around Leonardo lobster, but it's theater, like a puppet play. And it's bilingual, it's English and French, and it's really nice. So if we have time, I have like just a 1 minute to show you. They will play through the summer at different events, hopefully. Hopefully we can get funded for that, but it's already produced. And all this won't be possible without our partners. I couldn't list them all, but for sure the team is really important. So this is the 2016 team. So we are the 4 here, permanent staff, and then our summer students working to help with explaining everything about lobster. So, can I show the video? I have time?
Yeah, 1 minute and 14 seconds.
Perfect. I'm going to try just to find it because it's not linked anymore. Where is it? On the desk. On the original desk? Yeah, not here. On the desktop. So it's a new idea that we had, how to reach the public and explain, and it's scientifically validated what they say, but it's still kind of funny. And it's bilingual, so you'll hear some French.
Est-ce que t'as vu le gros poisson passer à tantôt?
I saw the big fish. I'm like scared.
Comment ça se fait? On est libre! Libre!
We're free? I guess so.
Regarde! On flotte! On flotte!
I just want to be safe from the fish. Look at me with that. Quoi?
chère étoile, qu'est-ce que vous pensez que nous avons l'air de...
Yes, dear public, what do you think we look like?
So these are larval stages, that's why they don't have claws, but in the real show it will be 30 minutes and they will have claws. So it's just a new idea we're exploring, and yeah, thank you.